In the city of Pyeongchang, on the first day of the 2026 school year, a 7-year-old boy named Kang walked through the front gates of his elementary school, backpack on, ready for his first day of class. The entrance ceremony went ahead as planned. The decorations were up, the teachers were there, the parents attended. There was just one problem. Kang was the only child in his entire incoming class. Not the only one who showed up that day, the only one enrolled. Period. This is not a story about one unlucky school in one unlucky town. Across Gangwon province alone, 21 elementary schools held entrance ceremonies for a single child this year. And then there are the 210 elementary schools nationwide that enrolled 0 new first graders in 2026. That number is up 81% from just 5 years ago. Total enrollment across South Korea has dropped from 5.32 million students in 2021 to just over 5 million in 2025. More than 4,000 schools have permanently shut their doors. The government cut 2,232 teaching positions in a single year. South Korea, the 12th largest economy on the planet, is running out of children. The fertility rate hit 0.72 in 2023, the lowest ever recorded by any country in peacetime. The replacement rate needed just to maintain population is 2.1. South Korea is at 0.80 as of 2025. That is not a slow decline. That is a civilizational alarm going off in slow motion. And the question nobody is answering clearly is this: what exactly is South Korea doing about it? And is any of it actually going to work? There are 5 responses the country has deployed. Each one sounds reasonable on paper. Each one has a problem that the government would rather not talk about directly. First response is the most expensive: spend more money. Since 2006, South Korea has poured over $270 billion into policies designed to encourage Koreans to have more children. Cash payments at birth, free childcare, tax incentives, subsidized fertility treatments. The numbers keep scaling up. In 2024, the government announced a baby bonus of 2 million won, roughly $1,500, for every newborn, on top of existing monthly allowances running through the child's first year of life. The problem is not the amount. The problem is what the money is actually competing against. South Korea is the most expensive country in the world to raise a child, approximately $272,000 through age 18. And then there's the part nobody talks about enough. While writing those checks, the government was organizing city-sponsored dating events to get young Koreans to meet and pair up. A sitting president declared a national demographic emergency. An entire ministry was proposed, just for birth rates. The same country that spent decades putting up posters saying 2 children is already too many is now begging people to have one. And here's where South Korea actually stands. Pet strollers now outsell baby strollers. Infant stroller sales dropped 43% in 2023. Pet stroller sales went up 57%. The government is fighting a generation that already chose pets over children, with a monthly allowance. And the reason is a system of private tutoring academies called hagwons. These are not optional enrichment programs for exceptional students. They are functionally mandatory if you want your child to have any serious shot at a future in this country. Public schools teach the national curriculum. Hagwons teach the CSAT. So parents who only use public school are, statistically speaking, not in the race. Which is why over 95% of Korean middle school students attend hagwons. Which is why Korean parents collectively spend $20 billion a year on private tutoring. And which is why, when couples do the math on having a second child, the answer keeps coming back the same way. They cannot afford it. A $1,500 birth bonus against a $272,000 commitment is not a solution. The third response is selective immigration. Korea needs workers. The Korea Employment Information Service estimated that the country will need roughly 900,000 additional workers by 2032 just to sustain modest economic growth. The primary mechanism for bringing them in is a visa category called the E9, designed for low-wage labor in manufacturing, agriculture, and fisheries. Workers can stay 3 to 5 years. No path to citizenship. No family members permitted. In 2024, 335,000 workers held this visa. Another 130,000 were set to arrive in 2025. This sounds like a large number until you account for the fact that they all leave. The visa is designed to be temporary. Rotate workers in, rotate them out. It is a labor supply tool, not an immigration program. And the deeper issue is the political one. South Korea is approximately 95% ethnically Korean. According to the 2024 Korea Social Integration Survey, only 7.2% of Koreans say they accept migrant workers as genuine members of Korean society. The immigration Koreans are most comfortable with is ethnic Koreans returning from China and the former Soviet states. About 850,000 of the 2.73 million foreign nationals currently in the country are in that category. For everyone else, the structure is explicitly temporary by design. To actually replace a 44% drop in the working age population through immigration alone, Korea would need to absorb roughly 15 million foreign workers and their families by 2067, pushing the country to about 30% foreign-born. There's no political path to that outcome in the current environment. The math is straightforward. The will is not there. The fourth response is the one nobody describes as an immigration policy, even though it is. For decades, rural Korean men, farmers, fishermen, men in counties 2 and 3 hours from Seoul, have been unable to find Korean wives. By the 1990s, the women who grew up in those towns had almost universally left for the cities, drawn by better jobs, better opportunities, better lives. The men stayed because they owned the land, or the boats, or the family property. The solution that emerged was to import wives from countries where the economic calculus runs the other direction. Vietnam, the Philippines, Cambodia, rural China. The arrangement is transactional by design. According to Korea's Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, a wife from Vietnam costs around $12,600. From China, around $75,000. As of 2025, over 35 Korean municipalities run formal subsidy programs paying men up to $145,000 to marry foreign women. The children born from these marriages, called multicultural children in Korean, face documented systematic discrimination and bullying in the school system. The problem is serious enough that the government funds anti-discrimination curriculum programs to address it. The policy quietly sustains rural Korea's demographics, while the society continues to treat the people it produces as outsiders. The fifth response is to call the recent numbers a recovery and declare the problem solved. Here is what the data actually shows. South Korea's total fertility rate rose to 0.80 in 2025, up from 0.72 in 2023, marking the highest figure in 4 years. In January 2026, the monthly fertility rate hit 0.99, the highest single-month figure in nearly 7 years. The government has begun describing this as evidence that the policies are working. The official framing is optimistic. The narrative is forming. The data does not support that narrative. The rebound has 3 structural causes that have nothing to do with policy effectiveness. First, South Korea had one of the strictest pandemic lockdown regimes in the developed world. Weddings were postponed for 2, 3, even 4 years. In Korean culture, marriage is essentially a prerequisite for childbirth. Single motherhood carries severe social stigma, and single women cannot legally access IVF. When restrictions lifted, a multi-year backlog of suppressed weddings cleared at once. The birth uptick is that backlog resolving itself. Marriages rose 8.1% in 2025 after a record 14.8% jump in 2024. That is a one-time release, not a trend change. Second, there's currently a larger than average cohort of women in their prime childbearing years, a demographic bulge that increases total births even when the per-woman rate stays flat. Third, foreign-born women who carry higher fertility rates than Korean-born women are contributing to the uptick through the marriage migration programs already discussed. But international marriages peaked in the mid-2000s and have been declining since. That contribution will shrink. The underlying rate, what a typical Korean woman in her prime actually expects to have, has not meaningfully changed. The government is counting a post-pandemic echo and calling it a policy success. So here is where South Korea actually stands in 2026. 5 responses are running simultaneously. None of them are coordinated with each other. The cash incentives cannot compete with the structural cost of raising a child in this system. The robots are generating productivity gains that are not being shared. The immigration program is designed to be temporary by design and has no political support for becoming anything else. The marriage migration policy works quietly, but produces children who face institutional discrimination. And the recent uptick in births is a statistical artifact being repackaged as a victory. The country is smaller than it was. It will be smaller still. The schools closing in Gangwon province are not going to reopen. The teachers cut from the payroll are not coming back. The children who were never born are not going to materialize because the government adjusted a monthly allowance. What is happening in South Korea right now is not unique to South Korea. Japan is further along the same curve. China's fertility rate is collapsing despite a decade of policy reversal. Southern Europe is below replacement. The mechanisms differ. The direction is the same. South Korea is not a cautionary tale, it is a preview. The question every government watching from the outside should be asking is not whether this can happen to them. It already is.